Hello everyone, welcome back to day 25 of Polity Daily Drill. Let's begin. First question. Consider the following statements regarding departmentally related standing committees, DRSCs, or they're also known as DSCs. So, first one, DRSCs comprise of MPs from both houses. Number two, ministers can become members of DRSCs, but the chairman must belong to the opposition party. DRSCs were not a part of the original rules adopted in 1952 and were a later addition. Now, what are DRSCs? The departmentally related standing committees are parliamentary committees, which were, of course, added via Rule 331C to the Lok Sabha rules in 1993. At that point of time, we only had 17 DRSCs. However, now we have 24 such committees and 16 committees function under the Lok Sabha. 8 committees function under the Rajya Sabha. Now, this does not mean that these 16 committees have MPs from Lok Sabha only and these 8 committees have MPs from Rajya Sabha only. All 24 committees separately will have MPs from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This means every DRSC has 21 MPs from Lok Sabha and 10 MPs from Rajya Sabha, whether they function under the control of Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. So, of course, one is correct. DRSCs comprise of MPs from both the houses, and DRSCs were not a part of the original rules adopted in 52 and were a later addition. This is also correct because they were added in 1993. However, second statement is wrong. Why? Because ministers cannot become members of DRSCs, and also the chairman is appointed by the presiding officer. There is no mandate that the chairman must belong to the opposition party. Second statement is wrong. Now, what's the answer here? Which of the statements, which, it's not how, it's which of the statements is incorrect. So, second statement is incorrect. Please don't mark one only as the answer because second statement is incorrect, not the first one. The question is which and not how many. A small tricky question. Moving on to question number 2. With reference to the Chief Minister, consider the following statements. He holds office during the pleasure of the Governor. Absolutely correct. Article 164. Then he can be dismissed by the Governor at any time. Now, herein lies the problem. At any time is incorrect. Of course, the Governor can dismiss the Chief Minister, but only if he has lost the confidence motion or the NCM has been passed against him, right? So at any point of time, if the NCM is passed against him or he loses the trust vote or the confidence motion, the Governor can dismiss the Chief Minister. So 2 is wrong. And he can recommend the dissolution of the Legislative Assembly to the Governor at any time. This is correct. So, how many statements are incorrect? Only one. A is the answer. Moving on to question number 3. Consider the following statements regarding state legislature. Legislative Assembly, while passing an ordinary bill, can override the amendments made by Legislative Council. This is absolutely correct. Article 197 provides for the procedure to be followed while passing bills in the state legislature. And just to clarify, there is no concept of a joint sitting in the state legislatures like you have at the parliamentary level under Article 108. The legislative assemblies are powerful bodies and In fact, whatever modifications are made by the council, they must be accepted by the assembly for the bill to be sent to the governor. So ultimately, every bill brought in the state legislature needs to be approved by the assembly, and bills are passed in that form and manner in which the assembly wants to get it passed. Right? Second one, a bill rejected by the legislative assembly, irrespective of its origin, ends and becomes dead. That's also correct. Ultimately, if the assembly does not approve of a bill, the bill ends. As I said, no concept of joint sitting. So which statements are correct? Both the statements are correct. Moving on to question number 4. Which of the following is or are not, please follow, not compulsory provisions under the 73rd Amendment Act of 1992? Number 1, organization of Gram Sabha in a village or a group of villages, constitution of an SFC or a state finance commission. And number 3, giving representation to members of the parliament in the panchayats. So 73rd Amendment Act has incorporated in our constitution part 9, articles 243 to 243 capital O, right? There are certain provisions which are mandatory and others which are optional, meaning the state legislature may by law provide for those provisions. So organization of Gram Sabha is a mandatory provision. We have it under article 243 capital A. Now what powers will the Gram Sabha get or enjoy? That is for the respective state to decide. But formation of Gram Sabha is mandatory. Number 2, again, constituting an SFC is mandatory. This is mentioned under Article 243 capital I. Every 5 years, the governor has to constitute an SFC, a State Finance Commission. So 2 is also correct. Giving representation to MPs. Now, this is an optional provision. So MPs can become members of either a district panchayat, that is a Zilla Parishad, or an intermediate panchayat, which is a block panchayat, but only if the state legislature by law, meaning by a simple majority, allows. It's not a mandatory provision. So 3 is not a compulsory provision, hence B, 3 only is the right answer. Moving on to question number 5. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding Lok Adalats? Now, once a litigant has approached the Lok Adalat for the settlement or compromise, he or she cannot go back to the court. This is wrong. Why? Because Lok Adalat is available in the pre as well as the post litigative stage, meaning whether your case is pending in the court or not, you can always approach the Lok Adalat. And once you have approached the Lok Adalat, it does not mean that you cannot go to the regular courts. That door, that opportunity is always open. So 1 is wrong. Second one, its decision is deemed to be a decree of a civil court is correct, and it deals in matters related to civil cases only. Now this is wrong, because the Lok Adalats also deal with compoundable criminal cases, petty offences as well. So this is wrong. And the third one, an award made by the Lok Adalat is final and binding on all parties, and no appeal lies before any court against it. This is actually correct. You cannot challenge a decision or award of a Lok Adalat. Why? Because this is a compromise. How can you challenge a compromise? You don't like it, don't sign on the compromise. Once you have compromised, it's done, right? So questioning a compromise is not possible. So 3 is correct. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Which of the following statements? Again, not how many. Which of the following statements? C. 3 only is correct. So this brings us to an end of our discussion for today. Let's meet tomorrow. Till then, that's all for me. Jai Hind.